And it was an excellent turnout. About 100, just shy of 100 cars showed up. A lot of people came to look at it. I was directly across from a 1957 Chevy panel truck.
Nice.
Well, the outside was a panel truck. Inside was a race car.
Really?
Yeah, it fully blown engine. It was beautiful. Beautiful car. So.
Being a DJ is funny. This little fun fact you don't know about me is I used to be a nightclub DJ and traveling DJ.
And you were also a stand-up comic, too.
Stand-up comic. You must have read about me on Wikipedia or something. And I got my start at a radio station like this. So I've done all kinds of fun stuff. So
where did you get your start? Obviously, at a radio station as a DJ.
This is a funny story. WMUR Radio at Marquette University in Milwaukee. And back then we called it underground radio. I mean, it was completely under the radar of the FCC, and we would broadcast. We'd play any songs we want, and it was just complete free-for-all. I was the program director, but I also did an afternoon radio show. And I had a radio partner that did the show with me. It was kind of a comedy and variety show, and we played a lot of music and stuff. And this is back in late 70s, early 80s, and my radio partner was a guy named Bob Odenkirk. Name familiar at all?
Sounds familiar, but I drink way too much for it to anything to really stick.
If you watch Breaking Bad, or now he's on the spin-off show, my Better Call Saul. The attorney, Saul Goodman, is Bob Odenkirk, he was in the cast of Saturday Night Live, and he did a lot of movies with Ben Stiller and stuff. So we were radio partners in college. He's had a successful career. Me, not so much.
Well, I wouldn't say it was unsuccessful, but I looked at your path of moving around. Now, how did you end up in Rhode Island is what I don't understand. You lived in Danville, Gainesville, Ocala, Pensacola, San Francisco, Oakland,
and then
Washington, D.C.
You've been talking to all my old girlfriends, haven't you? They tracked me down.
I'm telling you, I am a consummate professional. I do background research. Right. If I looked a little bit harder, I could probably tell you what blood type you were.
I'm not even sure I know. Well, look, broadcasting can be a transient business. It's not unusual for people to move from town to town in their careers. I've tried not to do this thing where people blow into town, they're there for 2 years, and then they're gone. So everywhere I've been in the TV business and radio business, I've stayed at least 5 years. So I did 4 years of radio in Milwaukee, and then did some production work. Then I went to Florida, and I was actually in Florida in 3 different cities, Gainesville, Ocala, and Pensacola, for a total of 9 years, 2 radio stations, 3 TV stations. Went to Washington, D.C., which was exciting, to work in Congress for a year on a congressional fellowship, and then I got hired by Cox Broadcasting, the parent company of Cox Cable that everyone's familiar with here. They have about 15 TV stations around the country, and I was the White House and congressional correspondent for all the Cox television stations around the country. And they liked me so much they transferred me to their top station in San Francisco, and I was there for probably another 9 years. And then unemployment came along. That happens in the broadcast business. You get laid off every now and then. Luckily, it's only happened to me twice. And the closest place I could find a job from San Francisco was in Providence, Rhode Island. Actually, the guy that hired me in San Francisco had bought Channel 6 here, and he hired me here years later. And so I worked there for 5 years and got laid off again. But I've had a great career. I've loved my radio and TV career. It's taken to be, I think, to 45 different states to cover stories and even foreign countries. So it's been great, and I'm not done yet. I got at least 20 more years left in me.
At least 20 more years.
I think.
Well, can we quote you on that?
Well, look, Bob Schieffer just retired last Sunday from Face the Nation, and Bob was there covering Moses live when Moses delivered the 10 Commandments. And so if Schieffer could, and I know Bob, I'm just kidding around. I worked with him in Washington, and I'd love to have a career that long and storied. So, I like to say I'd like to work another 20 years in radio and TV.
Okay, well, when we come back from a break, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to actually dig a little deeper into your sordid past.
Okay.
See if you could bring up a few stories.
I was wondering why that squad car was parked outside, kind of waiting for me to leave the building.
That's usually for me because the playground across the street, I have to stay only so many feet.
Okay.
So we're going to leave here with Melissa and the Liberators, All Used Up. You're listening to My Night Out Radio on Rhode Island Free Radio. We'll be back in a minute.
Isn't it pretty with the rose-colored glasses on? Isn't it pretty? Isn't it divine? Isn't it pretty with the rose-colored glasses on?
Welcome back, My Night Outers. This is DJ Seiko Eddie. In the hot seat tonight, we have Mark Curtis. I did manage to forget, and I always forget something. Well, I forget a lot of things, actually. But to open the show tonight, we had Down City Armory, Double Wiretap. That was the song you just listened to was Melissa and the Liberators, All Used Up. Well, Mark, we had a few words, conversation, whatever you want to call it, off the air about being in movies, and you had quite an interesting story about a local gentleman's establishment. Could you relay that in much cleaner terms
without giving away too many secrets? So, and I think it's well known around Rhode Island that because we did stories about this on Channel 6 when I was there. I work as a movie extra. I'm a SAG-AFTRA member, so I get bit parts in movies. And I started doing this when I worked out in San Francisco. And when I moved to Rhode Island, I had no idea how many movies were shot here and in Massachusetts. And so I signed up. In fact, the first thing I worked on here, because it just started filming when I got here, was Body of Proof, the ABC show that was shooting in downtown Providence, where I lived at the time. So that was great. So consequently, I've been in probably a dozen different movies or TV shows since I've been here. And one of them is Bleed for This, the Vinnie Paz story that'll be coming out probably in December or January. We wrapped on shooting that in this past December. But one of the more interesting scenes I was in was at the Foxy Lady, the famed
gentleman's
establishment or strip club or whatever the heck you call the things nowadays. Why do you have to sanitize everything?
Well, it's connotation.
Gentleman's club makes it sound like everybody goes there in a coat and a tie or a tuxedo. Anyway, so we had to shoot a scene. In fact, I remember we had to shoot it at 5 o'clock in the morning. One of the few hours apparently that place is closed. And it involved Vinnie Paz. Everyone knows is not only a world champion boxer, but he was kind of an aficionado of gentlemen's clubs, if you will. He loves to go to them.
Oddly enough, I've run across him a few times in different gentlemen's clubs. So
well, I've never been to one, and I haven't been to one since. And I'm telling you the truth, my wife is probably listening, but honest to God,
it's your story. You can tell it any way you want.
But we did. I got called for a scene, and they said it was very secretive up until the last minute. And they said, come to Foxy Lady over on. In fact, it's right near Channel 6, right around the corner. In fact, I'd never been in there. Anyway, we went and shot the scene. But at one point, and you're an extra. You're in the background. You're throwing dollars. You're smoking cigars. You're doing whatever. And all of a sudden, the director came over to me. They were moving everybody to one of the stages, and they were moving Miles Teller, who's the star of the movie. He plays Vinnie Paz. They sit him down, and they come over and grab me. They just picked me at random out of 30 people and said, come over here. We want you to sit to the left of Miles. And here's a bunch of fake dollar bills. When the stripper comes over and Miles starts putting dollars in her G-string, we want you to do the same. And with enthusiasm, so yell and scream and wave your arms and be obnoxious. And so, and I'm to the left, Miles is in the middle, and the camera's to the right, shooting from an angle, profile shot of us. So there's no way I'll wind up in the editing room floor in the scene if they're going to use it. And there was a lot of film shot in that strip club. And it was funny because one of the dancers, I remember her name was Roxy, she came up to me and she goes, I see you in here all the time. You're one of our regular customers, aren't you? And I said, no, I've actually never been in here in my life. And she looked at me and she goes, well, why do I know your face so now? I said, well, because I anchor the 5 o'clock news on Channel 6. That's why. That's probably why. She goes, oh, yeah, that's right. I watch it every night before I go to work. So I haven't been back since. Roxy, hi, if you're listening. You were very nice. But so that movie will come out in December or January. It was a lot of fun doing movies. I was also in a movie I'm really looking forward to called The Finest Hours. It's a true story. We shot it out in Chatham on the Cape over 3 days. Casey Affleck is the star, and Holiday Granger is the female lead from England. And it's the true story of two oil tankers that broke in half off Cape Cod during a horrible storm back in the winter of 1952. And the Coast Guard, they're going out to rescue, and they didn't rescue everybody, but they rescued quite a few. And we shot the final scenes in the movie there, the welcome home to the docks in Chatham, where they brought back all the surviving sailors from the two oilers. And it was, it was a Disney movie with an $80 million budget. And I tell you, when you work on a Disney movie, you know it. They don't spare no expense. It was really something.
It's kind of like working for Rhode Island Free Radio.
$80 million budget. Yeah, sure. Go ahead and bring a couple of oil tankers
take
in here.
a few zeros off that. Right now we're working on refrigeration and air conditioning.
Yeah, that's a start. And then the other one I'm in, we just shot over in Cranston. In fact, we shot it at Cranston East High School back in April. It's called November Criminals. I can't think of the two. My kids would know the names of the two stars. They're these two good-looking 20-something actor and actress who everybody loves. I can't think of their names, but they're gorgeous kids. But it's something that generation knows who they are, and they look like Buffy and Jody from what was that show? The Family Affair, for all I know. But it just goes to show. I guess I know who the Kardashians and the Jenners are, but as far as the younger generation, movie stars and TV people, I have no idea.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to throw out there. Doing due diligence and research, I found out that you did date Caitlyn Jenner.
No. I thought you were going to tell another story. No, I didn't date Caitlyn Jenner. That was just a joke. I said I dated someone who's named Caitlyn Jenner. That's a funny thing, and that was the whole premise of the thing. There is probably...
But I didn't say which one. Your secret's safe with me. It's okay.
There are probably...
and the 6 people who listen...
I'll tell you a funny story about someone I did date once, but... there are probably people... No, you don't need the 7-second delay or the thing to bleep me out.
I was going to say, do you want to take that off the air?
No, we'll go for it. But there